The first time I saw Elena, she was kneeling on my living room floor, helping my daughter Mia build a tower of blocks. The afternoon sunlight streamed through the window, catching the auburn highlights in her dark hair, and when she laughed at something Mia said, the sound seemed to fill every empty corner of my house. I was 36 years old, recently divorced, and had convinced myself that the romantic part of my life was essentially over. My marriage to David had ended 2 years earlier, not with drama or betrayal, but with the quiet realization that we had been living as roommates rather than partners for years. We shared custody of Mia, who was now 5, and I had thrown myself entirely into being the best mother I could be and rebuilding my career as a graphic designer. Romance, love, those felt like luxuries I couldn't afford and honestly didn't want. I had tried dating men briefly after the divorce, but every coffee, meet, and dinner felt like I was going through motions I didn't believe in anymore. I assumed I was just tired, jaded, focused on other priorities. I had no idea I'd been looking in the wrong direction my entire life. Mrs. Chen. Elena stood up, brushing off her jeans, and extended her hand. I'm Elena Rodriguez. It's wonderful to meet you. Her handshake was warm and confident. She had kind brown eyes, a scattering of freckles across her nose, and a smile that made me forget whatever I'd been about to say. Sarah, I managed. Please, just Sarah. Mrs. Chen makes me feel ancient. She laughed. Sarah, it is. Then, and Mia is absolutely wonderful. We've been having a great time, haven't we? Mia nodded enthusiastically, already reaching for Elena's hand again. My daughter, who was usually shy around new people, had taken to this woman immediately. In the week since Elena had started as our nanny, Mia had transformed. She was more animated, more willing to try new things, constantly telling me stories about what she and Elena had done that day. I told myself my interest in Elena was purely at finding someone so good with my daughter after a string of disappointing childcare arrangements. But as weeks passed, I found myself looking forward to those moments when I'd come home and find them together. The way Elena would look up from whatever craft project or game they were playing, her whole face brightening. The way she'd linger sometimes after Mia went to bed, and we'd sit in the kitchen talking over tea. Elena had moved to Seattle from California 6 months ago, and had a degree in early childhood education. She loved hiking, made the best chocolate chip cookies I'd ever tasted, and had a way of listening that made you feel like you were the only person in the world. She was also, I learned one evening, about a month after she started working for us, gay. We were sitting on my back porch, watching the sun set over the neighborhood. Mia was asleep inside. Elena had stayed late because I'd been stuck at a client meeting, and I'd insisted on ordering pizza for both of us as thanks. So my ex-girlfriend called me last week, Elena said casually, reaching for another slice. Out of the blue, after a year and a half. Apparently she's getting married and wanted to clear the air. My hand froze halfway to my wine glass. Your ex-girlfriend. Elena looked at me, and something flickered across her face in certainty. Maybe. Yeah, Rachel. We were together for 3 years. I thought I mentioned it. No, I said, my voice sounding strange in my own ears. No, you didn't. Is that okay? She asked it lightly, but I could hear the real question underneath. I know some people feel weird about having a lesbian nanny. If it's a problem, no. I said it too quickly, too emphatically. No, of course it's not a problem. I'm sorry, I was just surprised. I don't know why I assumed. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Tell me about this phone call. She did, and I listened, but half my brain was elsewhere, processing this new information. Elena was gay. Elena dated women. Elena had loved a woman named Rachel for 3 years. And something inside me, something I'd kept locked away so deep I'd forgotten it existed, suddenly cracked open. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through memories I'd buried decades ago. Katie Morrison in 9th grade, with her wild curly hair and paint-stained fingers. How I'd wanted to be her best friend with an intensity that frightened me. How I'd memorized the schedule of her art classes so I could accidentally run into her. How I'd felt when she hugged me goodbye on the last day of school, like every nerve in my body had caught fire. My college roommate, Jennifer, who I'd been obsessed with for an entire semester. I'd convinced myself I just admired her confidence, her style, wanted to be more like her. The weird jealousy I'd felt when she started dating guys. The way I'd volunteered to braid her hair or paint her nails, just for an excuse to touch her. The bridesmaid at my wedding, David's cousin, whose name I could barely remember now, but I remembered how she looked in that burgundy dress. How I couldn't stop watching her during the reception. How guilty I'd felt about it. A dozen other moments, small crushes and intense friendships and feelings I'd rationalized away. I thought I'd just been an emotional teenager, an admiring friend, a person who appreciated beauty regardless of gender. Lying there in the dark, I finally let myself acknowledge the truth. I had always been attracted to women. I had just been too afraid, too conditioned, too deep in compulsory heterosexuality to see it. And now, at 30, with a daughter, and a divorce, and a whole life built on assumptions that were crumbling beneath me, I was falling for my daughter's nanny. The next few weeks were torture. Every interaction with Elena took on new meaning. When she laughed at my jokes, touched my arm while talking, stayed late to help me with dishes, was she just being friendly? Or was there something more there? And did it even matter? When she was Mia's nanny, when coming out at my age felt terrifying, when I had no idea if what I was feeling was real or just the result of a late-blooming identity crisis, I threw myself into research like it was a work project. I read coming out stories on Reddit, watched YouTube videos about compulsory heterosexuality, joined anonymous LGBTQ forums. Every article I read felt like it was describing my life. Every story resonated. I wasn't broken or damaged. I wasn't going through a phase. I was just finally seeing myself clearly. But knowing that didn't make it less scary. I imagined telling my parents, my friends, my ex. I imagined Mia asking questions I didn't know how to answer. I imagined the judgment, the skepticism, people saying I was confused or going through a midlife crisis. And underneath all of that, I imagined Elena not feeling the same way. Elena seeing me as just her employer, or worse, laughing at the idea that her frumpy divorced boss had developed feelings for her. The shift happened on a Saturday in October. Elena had agreed to watch Mia overnight first so I could attend a work conference in Portland, but the conference was abruptly canceled due to a power outage, and I drove home late that evening instead of staying in the hotel. When I walked into my house at 10 p.m., I found Elena on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, crying quietly while watching a movie. She jumped when she saw me, hastily wiping her eyes. "Sarah, I didn't expect time, sorry." Hey, it's okay." I dropped my bag and sat beside her. "What's wrong?" She tried to wave it off, but I insisted, and eventually the story spilled out. Her younger brother had called earlier. He was getting married next month, and when Elena mentioned bringing a date who was a woman, her mother had said maybe it was better if Elena came alone. To avoid making people uncomfortable, her mother had said. "I thought they'd gotten better about it," Elena said, her voice thick. "After Rachel, after everything. But I guess they were just hoping it was a phase. And now my brother is trying to play peacemaker, and I don't know if I can go to the wedding and pretend everything is fine." Without thinking, I reached out and took her hand. "I'm so sorry. That's awful. You deserve better than that." She looked down at our joined hands, then up at my face, and something passed between moment of recognition, of possibility. "Sarah," she said softly, "can I ask you something?" My heart was pounding. Of course. That night I mentioned Rachel. "You seemed surprised. But it was more than that, wasn't it?" I should have deflected, made an excuse, protected myself. Instead, I heard myself say, "I've been thinking a lot lately about things I didn't let myself think about when I was younger." Her eyes widened slightly. "What kind of things?" "Like why I never felt quite right in my marriage. Why dating men after the divorce felt like wearing shoes that didn't fit. Why I took a breath. Why I can't stop thinking about you." The silence that followed felt eternal. Then Elena squeezed my hand. "I've been thinking about you too," she whispered, "but I didn't want to assume, and you're technically my boss, and I didn't want to make things weird." I kissed her. Or she kissed me. Later, we couldn't agree on who moved first, but suddenly her lips were on mine and nothing in my entire life had ever felt so right, so natural, so utterly correct. We broke apart, both breathing hard, and Elena laughed that wonderful laugh that had captivated me from the beginning. "So," she said, "I guess we need to talk about this." "Yeah," I agreed, unable to stop smiling. "I guess we do." We talked for hours that night. I told her everything, the memories I'd been unpacking, the research I'd been doing, how terrified and exhilarated I felt. She told me about coming out in college, about her family's complicated journey toward acceptance, about Rachel and what she'd learned from that relationship. "I need to go slow," I told her as dawn started to lighten the sky. "Not because I'm not sure I'm incredibly sure about this, about you. But I need time to come out properly, to tell my family, to help Mia understand. And we need to figure out the nanny situation because I don't want this to be inappropriate, or Sarah." Elena cupped my face in her hands. We'll figure it all out. There's no rush. We have time. But first, we kissed again. And this time it wasn't tentative or uncertain. This time it was a promise. Coming out at 36 was nothing like I'd feared and everything like I'd feared, simultaneously. My parents were confused but supportive in that well-meaning way that requires patience. My father kept asking if I was sure, as if I might have accidentally stumbled into attraction to women. My mother wanted to know if this meant I'd always been unhappy in my marriage. Seemed worried it was somehow her fault for not noticing. My friends were mostly wonderful, though I could see some of them recalculating their view of me, wondering what else they'd gotten wrong. A few dropped away not dramatically, just a slow fade of unreturned texts and cancelled plans. It hurt, but less than I'd expected. David was awkward about it, but ultimately kind. I wish you'd figured this out before we got married, he said wryly. Would have saved us both some time. But I'm glad you're happy now. The person I worried about most was MIA. Elena and I had decided she would stop being Mia's nanny. It felt too complicated, too much potential for confusion. We'd find Mia a new caregiver. And Elena would transition to being mommy's friend while I figured out how to explain this shift to a 5-year-old. But kids are often wiser than we give them credit for. One afternoon, about 6 months after Elena and I started officially dating, Mia looked up from her coloring and said, "Mommy, do you love Elena the way you're supposed to love mommies and daddies?" My throat went tight. What makes you ask that, sweetheart? You look at her the way Princess Anna looks at Kristoff. And you smile all the time now. I knelt down beside her. Would it be okay with you if I did love her that way? Mia considered this seriously. Does that mean Elena will be here more? Probably, yeah. And she'll still make cookies with me. I'm sure she will. Then it's okay. She went back to coloring. Then added, Madison at school has 2 mommies. She says it's pretty normal. I laughed, relief flooding through me. It is pretty normal, baby. Okay, can Elena come over tonight? Elena moved in on a rainy Saturday in March, almost a year after we'd first kissed. Mia helped her unpack, chattering excitedly about how they could decorate Elena's office. She'd started working remotely as an educational consultant. I watched them together. These 2 people I loved more than anything, and felt overwhelmed with gratitude. That night, after Mia was asleep, Elena and I sat on the porch with wine, watching the rain. You know what's funny? I said. I spent so many years thinking I was broken or incomplete somehow, like something was fundamentally wrong with me because I didn't feel what I was supposed to feel in my marriage. And now I realize I wasn't broken at all. I just needed to find the right person. I needed to find you. Elena leaned her head on my shoulder. For what it's worth, I think you found yourself first. I was just lucky enough to be here when you did. She wasn't wrong. The person I'd become over this past year, honest, authentic, brave enough to claim what I wanted. She'd been there all along, just waiting for permission to exist. It hasn't all been easy. Coming out later in life means dealing with people's assumptions and skepticism. Some acquaintances still introduce Elena as my roommate or friend, unable or unwilling to see what's right in front of them. Family gatherings can be tense, navigating which relatives will be welcoming and which will make snide comments. Dating as a newly out lesbian in my late 30s came with its own challenges. The LGBTQ community, like any community, has its hierarchies and judgments. I've had younger queer women question if I'm really gay or just experimenting. I've navigated the complex world of queer spaces, where I'm simultaneously welcomed and viewed as a newcomer to struggles. Others have fought their whole lives, and co-parenting with an ex-husband, while building a life with a woman that requires constant communication, boundary setting, and patience from everyone involved. But here's what I know now. I am happier than I have ever been. More myself than I've ever been. Mia is thriving with 2 homes full of love and the understanding that families come in all shapes. Elena and I are building something real and beautiful and entirely our own. Last month, Elena's family threw her brother another wedding do-over. They called it, because they wanted Elena to be fully present this time, openly with the person she loved. I wore a suit that made me feel powerful and beautiful. Elena wore a dress that took my breath away. And when her mother hugged me tight and whispered, "Thank you for making my daughter so happy," I felt another piece of healing click into place. People sometimes ask me if I regret not figuring this out sooner. If I'm angry about the years I wasted in a straight marriage, the experiences I missed by not coming out younger. The truth is more complicated than that. Yes, sometimes I grieve, for my younger self, for the girl who couldn't name what she was feeling, who tried so hard to fit into a shape that wasn't hers. I wish I could go back and tell her it's okay. That there's nothing wrong with her. That the life she's trying to build on a faulty foundation will never feel quite right. But I also can't regret the path that led me here. My marriage gave me Mia, the greatest gift of my life. Those years of confusion and searching taught me resilience and empathy. And maybe I needed to be this age, with this much life experience, to be ready for a love this big and real and transformative. There's no one right timeline for discovering yourself. Some people know who they are from childhood. Others, like me, take a more winding route. What matters isn't when you figure it out. It's that you give yourself permission to be honest when you do. It's been 2 years now since that first kiss, since everything changed. Mia is 7 and has informed us she wants 2 cakes at her birthday party, 1 chocolate for her friends and 1 lemon for the grown-ups, which is code for Elena's favorite flavor. She's started calling Elena Lena as a nickname, and sometimes, when she's sleepy, she calls her my other mom. Elena proposed to me last month. We were hiking, just the 2 of us, at the trail where we'd had our first official date. She got down on one knee, right there on the mountain, with the city sprawling below us, and the sun setting in spectacular colors, and asked if I would marry her. She told me about coming out in college, about her family's complicated journey toward acceptance, about Rachel and what she'd learned from that relationship. I need to go slow, I told her as dawn started to lighten the sky. Not because I'm not sure I'm incredibly sure about this, about you, but I need time to come out properly, to tell my family, to help Mia understand. And we need to figure out the nanny situation because I don't want this to be inappropriate or Sarah. Elena cupped my face in her hands. We'll figure it all out, there's no rush. We have time. But first, we kissed again, and this time it wasn't tentative or uncertain. This time it was a promise. Coming out at 36 was nothing like I'd feared and everything like I'd feared. Simultaneously, my parents were confused but supportive in that well-meaning way that requires patience. My father kept asking if I was sure, as if I might have accidentally stumbled into attraction to women. My mother wanted to know if this meant I'd always been unhappy in my marriage. Seemed worried it was somehow her fault for not noticing. My friends were mostly wonderful, though I could see some of them recalculating their view of me, wondering what else they'd gotten wrong. A few dropped away not dramatically, just a slow fade of unreturned texts and cancelled plans. It hurt, but less than I'd expected. David was awkward about it, but ultimately kind. I wish you'd figured this out before we got married, he said wryly. Would have saved us both some time. But I'm glad you're happy now. The person I worried about most was MIA. Elena and I had decided she would stop being Mia's nanny. It felt too complicated, too much potential for confusion. We'd find Mia a new caregiver, and Elena would transition to being mommy's friend while I figured out how to explain this shift to a 5-year-old. But kids are often wiser than we give them credit for. One afternoon, about 6 months after Elena and I started officially dating, Mia looked up from her coloring and said, "Mommy, do you love Elena the way you're supposed to love mommies and daddies?" My throat went tight. What makes you ask that, sweetheart? You look at her the way Princess Anna looks at Kristoff. And you smile all the time now. I knelt down beside her. Would it be okay with you if I did love her that way? Mia considered this seriously. Does that mean Elena will be here more? Probably, yeah. And she'll still make cookies with me. I'm sure she will. Then it's okay. She went back to coloring, then added, Madison at school has 2 mommies. She says it's pretty normal. I laughed, relief flooding through me. It is pretty normal, baby. Okay, can Elena come over tonight? Elena moved in on a rainy Saturday in March, almost a year after we'd first kissed. Planning a wedding at 38 to a woman, with a 7-year-old daughter heavily involved in the decision-making process, turned out to be nothing like I'd imagined. My first wedding to David had been traditional church ceremony, white dress, 200 guests, the works. My mother had orchestrated most of it while I'd floated through in a daze of this is what you're supposed to do. I'd felt like an actress playing a role, hitting my marks, saying my lines. This time, every choice felt intentional, meaningful. Mine. Elena and I decided on an outdoor ceremony at a botanical garden in late June. Small and intimate, just 40 people, the ones who truly mattered. No religious officiant. Our friend Marcus, who'd gotten ordained online specifically for us, would perform the ceremony. What are you going to wear? My mother asked during one of our planning calls, and I could hear the carefully controlled anxiety in her voice. She was trying so hard to be supportive, but decades of traditional expectations kept creeping in. I'm not sure yet, Mom. Maybe a suit. Maybe a dress. We're both just wearing whatever makes us feel beautiful. There was a pause. Well, as long as you're happy, sweetie, it was something. At least. The real drama came from an unexpected source. Elena's father, Miguel Rodriguez, had been cautiously accepting of his daughter's sexuality, going through the motions of tolerance without quite reaching acceptance. He'd been cordial to me the few times we'd met, polite in that careful way that people are when they're trying not to show their discomfort. 3 months before the wedding, Elena got the call. I was in my home office working on a client presentation when I heard her voice from the living room, strained, emotional. I came out to find her sitting on the couch, phone clutched in her hand, tears streaming down her face. Hey, what happened? I sat beside her, pulling her close. My dad, she managed. He's not coming to the wedding. He says he can't watch his daughter make this mistake. That he needs to stand by his beliefs. That her voice broke. I held her while she cried, fury building in my chest. How dare he? How dare he hurt this incredible woman, his own daughter, because his prejudices mattered more than her happiness. Do you want me to call him? I asked. Because I will absolutely call him. Elena gave a watery laugh. And say what? That he's being an asshole. That he's going to regret missing this. That his daughter is the most amazing person I've ever met, and if he can't see that, it's his loss. All true, Elena said, wiping her eyes. But I don't think it would help. He's stubborn, set in his ways. My mom will still come. And my siblings. I just have to accept that this is who he is. But I could see it was breaking her heart. 2 weeks later, something unexpected happened. Elena's younger brother, Carlos, the one whose wedding had triggered that conversation about their mother wanting Elena to come alone, called and asked if he could come visit. Alone, he flew up from San Diego on a Saturday. Elena and I were both nervous, unsure what this visit meant, but we picked him up from the airport and brought him back to the house. Carlos was worked in tech, and had always been the golden child of the Rodriguez family, the one who did everything right, who never caused waves. But as we sat in our living room, he looked uncomfortable, fidgeting with his coffee mug. I need to apologize, he finally said, for my wedding, for not standing up for you when Mom said that stuff about bringing a date, for years of just going along with how they treated you. Elena's eyes widened. Carlos, no, let me finish. He took a breath. I've been thinking a lot since Dad said he's not coming to your wedding, and I realized I've been part of the problem. I kept telling myself I was being neutral, staying out of it, but that was just cowardice. There's no neutral when it comes to whether someone in your family deserves to be loved and accepted. He looked at both of us. You two are incredible together. Anyone can see how happy you make each other, and I'm so sorry it took me this long to say it out loud. Elena was crying again, but this time from relief, from healing. Thank you, that means everything. There's something else, Carlos said. I want to talk to Dad. Try to get through to him. I don't know if it'll work, but I have to try. You're my sister, and you deserve to have your whole family there on your wedding day. I don't know exactly what Carlos said to their father during the several long phone calls that followed over the next few weeks. Elena wasn't privy to all of it, but slowly, something began to shift. Miguel started calling Elena more regularly. The conversations were stilted at first, awkward, carefully avoiding the topic of the wedding. But then one night, he asked about me. Tell me about Sarah, he said. Really tell me. Not just that she's nice or you're happy. Tell me who she is. Elena talked for an hour about my design work, my relationship with Mia, my terrible attempts at learning to cook Mexican food, my obsession with true crime podcasts, the way I left notes around the house for her to find, all the small details that make up a life together. When she finished, Miguel was quiet for a long moment. Then, she sounds like someone who loves you very much. She does, Papa. So much. Another pause. I need to think about some things, but thank you for telling me. 2 weeks before the wedding, Miguel called again. I'd like to come, he said without preamble, to the wedding, if the invitation still stands. Elena started crying immediately. Of course, Papa, of course it does. I can't promise I understand everything, he continued, his voice gruff with emotion, and I'm still working through a lot, but Carlos made me realize something. He said, Dad, you taught us that family is everything, but then when Elena needed us most, you weren't acting like family. And he was right. I've been so caught up in what I thought was right that I forgot about what matters, being there for my daughter. Papa, let me finish. Mia, I want to walk you down the aisle, if you'll have me. I know it's not traditional, that you and Sarah are both brides, but I want to be part of giving you away to the person you love, even if that person is a woman, even if it's not what I expected, because you're my daughter, and I love you more than my discomfort. I watched Elena's face transform, the relief, the joy, the healing. This wasn't perfect acceptance, wasn't the end of the journey, but it was a beginning. I would love that, Papa, she whispered. I would love that so much. June 22nd dawned warm and clear, the kind of Pacific Northwest summer day that feels like a gift. I woke up at 6 a.m. in a hotel room. Elena and I had decided to spend the night before apart, honoring at least one tradition. Mia was curled up beside me, still asleep, her hair a wild tangle on the pillow. My daughter, my incredible, resilient, open-hearted daughter who had adapted to all these changes with more grace than most adults manage, who had not only accepted Elena into our lives but embraced her, who, when kids at school occasionally said something about her having two moms, would respond, yeah, and I'm lucky. I brushed the hair back from her face, overwhelmed with love. Today, I was marrying Elena. Today I was choosing love, authenticity, joy, everything I'd denied myself for so long. Today, I was standing in front of everyone who mattered and saying, this is who I am, this is who I love, this is the life I choose. Mia stirred, opened her eyes. Is it wedding day? It's wedding day, baby. She grinned. Can I have pancakes? My mother arrived at 9 to help me get ready, along with my two closest friends, Jessica and Amanda. They'd been with me through the divorce, through the confusion and self-discovery, through every step of this journey. You look terrified, Jessica observed as I stared at myself in the mirror. I'm not scared of marrying Elena, I said. I'm scared of, I don't know, being visible, having everyone see me this way. Amanda came up behind me, resting her hands on my shoulders. Sarah, people have been seeing you for 2 years now, and you know what they see? Someone who's genuinely happy, someone who lights up when they talk about their partner, someone who's finally comfortable in their own skin. Plus, Jessica added, if anyone has a problem with it, that's their issue, not yours. My mother, who had been quietly steaming my dress, I'd chosen a simple ivory sheath dress after all. Elegant and understated, spoke up. When you married David, I was so relieved. I thought, good, she's doing everything right, everything the way it's supposed to be. But you know what? You were miserable, and I was too caught up in what was supposed to happen to see it. She came over, taking my hands. Today, watching you get ready to marry Elena, I've never seen you like this. Nervous, yes, but underneath it, you're glowing, you're here, really present, in a way you never were at your first wedding. And that's how I know this is right, even if it's not what I expected. I pulled her into a hug, both of us crying now. Thanks, Mom. That means everything. Elena and I had decided to have a first look before the ceremony, a private moment to see each other, to calm our nerves, to remember why we were doing this. The garden staff had set up a secluded spot by a small pond. I waited there, my back turned, hearing footsteps approach on the gravel path. Okay, I heard Marcus say, Elena's here. You can turn around whenever you're ready. I took a breath and turned. Elena stood 10 feet away in a flowing lavender dress that perfectly matched her favorite flowers. Her dark hair was swept up, small white blossoms tucked into the style. She looked like something out of a dream, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. Hi, she said softly, her eyes bright with unshed tears. Hi yourself. I crossed the distance between us, taking her hands. You're beautiful, you're so beautiful I can't think straight. She laughed. Good thing you don't have to think straight anymore. It was such a perfectly Elena joke, lighthearted and loving, and just what I needed. I pulled her close and kissed her, not caring that we were probably ruining our lipstick. I can't wait to marry you, I whispered against her lips. Then let's go do it. The ceremony area was set up under a massive oak tree, draped with soft white fabric and covered in flowers. 40 chairs arranged in a semicircle, no traditional aisle, no bride's side or groom's side, just our people, gathered together. Mia went first, scattering flower petals with intense concentration, dressed in a pale yellow dress she'd picked out herself. Then Elena, walking slowly with her father, who had tears streaming openly down his face. And finally me, walking with my own father, who squeezed my arm as we approached. I'm proud of you, he whispered, for being brave enough to be yourself. Marcus stood beneath the oak tree, beaming at us. Dearly beloved, he began. We are gathered here today to witness and celebrate the union of Sarah Chen and Elena Rodriguez, two women who found each other at exactly the right time, who chose to build something real and lasting, who are showing us all what it means to love authentically. He'd helped us write our own vows, and when it came time to speak them, I looked into Elena's eyes and felt every ounce of fear dissolve. Elena, I began, my voice surprisingly steady. 2 years ago, I thought my life was already written. I thought I knew who I was and what I was capable of feeling. And then you walked into my living room, making my daughter laugh, and suddenly everything I thought I knew was wrong. You didn't just give me love, you gave me myself. You gave me permission to be honest, to be whole, to stop hiding. I promised to spend the rest of my life loving you openly, proudly, fiercely. I promised to keep growing with you, to keep choosing you, every single day. I promised to always steal the last cookie, but to make it up to you with really good kissing. Everyone laughed, and Elena was crying now, happy tears running down her face. Sarah, she said, her voice thick with emotion, when I met you, I saw someone who was searching for something she couldn't name, and getting to watch you find yourself, find your truth, find your joy, that's been the greatest privilege of my life. You're the most courageous person I know. You're an incredible mother, an amazing partner, and the love of my life. I promise to keep making space for you to grow and change. I promise to be patient when you're scared and to celebrate when you're brave. I promise to love Mia like she's my own, because in every way that matters, she is. And I promise to share the last cookie, because I'm a better person than you are. More laughter, more tears, happy ones, healing ones. Marcus pronounced us married, and we kissed as our family and friends erupted in applause. Mia came running up, wrapping her arms around both our legs, and we held her between us, our little family, complete and whole and exactly right. The reception was in the garden's event space, casual and warm, string lights overhead, food truck tacos, Elena's idea, a playlist of our favorite songs instead of a DJ. My father gave a toast that made everyone cry. I've known Sarah for 38 years, and I've never seen her as happy as she is today. Elena, thank you for loving my daughter and for helping her become who she was always meant to be. Miguel gave a toast too, his voice shaking but determined. I'm learning that love comes in many forms, and watching my daughter with Sarah, I see that the kind of love that makes you truly happy, that's the kind worth celebrating. Midges, I'm proud of both of you. Carlos raised his glass. To my sister and her bride, may you have a lifetime of happiness, adventure, and really good tacos. And Mia, not to be outdone, stood on her chair and announced, I love my moms. Before sitting back down, pleased with herself, we danced, Elena and I swaying to Brandy Carlisle's The Mother, both of us crying again. We ate too much cake. We laughed with friends who'd become family. We soaked in every moment of this day we'd created together. Late in the evening, as the party was winding down, David approached us. He'd been there all day, helpful and kind, photographing moments with his phone. Dancing with Mia, being exactly the co-parent I'd hoped he would be. I just wanted to say congratulations, he said. Really, you two are great together, and Mia is so lucky to have both of you. Thank you, Elena said warmly, for being here, for supporting Sarah, for everything. He nodded. You know, Sarah, when we got divorced, I felt like I'd failed somehow, like I'd done something wrong. But seeing you now, I realize we both did the best we could with what we understood about ourselves at the time. And this, he gestured around. This is where you were meant to end up. After he walked away, I leaned into Elena. He's right, you know. Every step that led me here, even the hard ones, even the mistakes, they were all worth it. Our honeymoon was 2 weeks in Italy, a trip we'd planned carefully, making sure Mia would be okay staying with David, and that all her summer camp arrangements were set. It was my first real vacation in years, my first time traveling internationally with a partner who actually felt like a partner. We wandered through Rome, Florence, and the Amalfi Coast. We ate incredible food, drank wine at sunset, got deliciously lost in narrow cobblestone streets, and everywhere we went, we were just two women in love. Some people noticed, some didn't. Occasionally we got stares, not all friendly, but we also got smiles from other queer couples, affirming nods from older Italian women who seemed to recognize love regardless of its form. One afternoon, in Pozzi, we were sitting at a cliffside restaurant, sharing pasta and watching the sunset paint the water in shades of gold and pink. Elena reached across the table and took my hand. What are you thinking about? She asked. How different my life is from what I imagined, I said. How much better it is than anything I could have planned. No regrets. Not a single one. Well, maybe that I didn't figure this out sooner, but honestly, I think I needed to be exactly this age, with exactly this much life experience, to be ready for you. For us, she smiled. That brilliant smile I'd fallen in love with. Then I guess everything happened exactly when it was supposed to. It's been 5 years since that first kiss on my couch, 3 years since our wedding. Our life now is beautifully ordinary. Mia is 10 and thriving. She tells anyone who asks that she has 2 moms and a dad, considers herself an expert on LGBTQ issues at her elementary school, and recently informed us she thinks she might be bisexual delivered, as casually as if she were telling us her favorite color. That's great, honey, I said, working hard to keep my voice normal. Thanks for telling us. Can we have ice cream now? Elena and I exchanged glances over her head, amused, relieved, grateful that our daughter feels so safe being herself. Elena left her educational consulting work and opened a small tutoring center that focuses on kids with learning differences. It's her passion project, and watching her build something from the ground up has been incredible. She comes home exhausted but fulfilled in a way her previous work never provided. I've continued my graphic design business and recently started teaching part-time at a community college. Turns out I love teaching, helping people discover their own creative voices. We bought a bigger house last year, one with room for both our offices, a real backyard for the dog, and a guest room for the revolving door of family who visit. Miguel comes up from San Diego twice a year now, staying for long weekends, slowly building a real relationship with both of us. He and I garden together. It's become our thing. This space where we can be comfortable without having to talk too much. My parents babysit Mia regularly and have become unexpectedly good friends with Elena's mother, the two of them bonding over grandparent concerns and swapping recipes. The LGBTQ community has become a real part of our lives in ways I never expected. We've found our people, other late bloomers, other queer parents, couples who understand the unique challenges and joys of building an authentic life. Last Pride Month, the 3 of us marched together, Mia wearing a rainbow cape and carrying a sign she'd made herself. Love is love is love. Elena and I wore matching t-shirts that said late bloomer and worth the wait. A younger queer woman stopped us during the parade. I love your shirts, she said. My mom just came out last year at 52, and she's been struggling with feeling like she missed out on so much. Tell her it's never too late, I said. Tell her every day living authentically is worth it. The woman hugged me, and I felt that familiar surge of connection. We were part of something bigger than ourselves. Part of a community built on resilience and truth and refusal to hide. Not everything is perfect, of course. Life never is. We fight sometimes. Usually about stupid things like whose turn it is to empty the dishwasher, or Elena's tendency to leave cabinet doors open. We have hard days where co-parenting gets complicated, or work stress bleeds into our relationship. We've had to work through Elena's fear that I'll wake up one day and decide this was all a mistake. That I'm really straight after all. That's not how this works. I've told her more than once. I'm not going to suddenly unlearn everything I know about myself. I love you. I'm attracted to you. I'm gay or bi, or queer. Whatever label fits. The point is, I'm not going anywhere. She's getting better at believing me, but I understand the fear. It comes from years of people doubting her identity, questioning the legitimacy of same-sex love, treating her relationships as less valid than straight ones. We go to couples therapy once a month. Not because we're struggling, but because we want to keep building the strongest foundation possible. Our therapist, a queer woman in her 60s who's been with her wife for 30 years, gives us tools for communication, helps us navigate challenges before they become crises. Sometimes people ask me for advice, women who are questioning their sexuality in their 30s, 40s, 50s, who see my story and wonder if it's too late for them too. Here's what I tell them. It's never too late to be honest with yourself. Never too late to claim joy. Never too late to build a life that actually fits. Yes, coming out later in life is complicated. Yes, you might lose some people. Yes, rebuilding your understanding of yourself is hard work, but the alternative, spending the rest of your life hiding, pretending, living half a life, that's so much harder. You deserve to be loved for exactly who you are. You deserve to wake up every morning feeling authentic and whole. You deserve a partner who makes you feel alive, not just comfortable. And if you have kids, the best gift you can give them isn't a normal family structure, it's the example of living truthfully, of being brave enough to choose happiness. Mia was 12 when she came to us with questions that went deeper than why do I have 2 moms. She'd grown up with our story as background noise to her life, but now she wanted details. It was a Saturday morning. Elena was making pancakes while I sorted through mail at the kitchen table. Mia came downstairs in her pajamas, hair sleep-tangled, and sat across from me with that serious expression she got when something was really on her mind. Mom, she said. She alternated between calling us both Mom and distinguishing us as Mom and Lena depending on her mood. Can I ask you something kind of personal? Elena glanced over from the stove, and I set down the bills. Of course, sweetie. What's up? How did you not know you were gay when you were married to Dad? Like, didn't you know something was wrong? It was a fair question, one I'd asked myself hundreds of times. Come here, I said, patting the seat next to me. She moved over, and I put my arm around her shoulders. The honest answer is, I did know something was wrong, but I didn't have the language or understanding to know what it was. Does that make sense? She shook her head. Elena brought over a plate of pancakes and sat down with us. Think of it this way, she said. You know how sometimes you feel uncomfortable or unhappy, but you can't quite figure out why. Like that feeling you get when something's off, but you don't know what. Yeah, Mia said slowly. That's what it was like for your mom. Elena continued. She knew she wasn't completely happy in her marriage, but she'd been taught her whole life that marriage to a man was what she was supposed to want. So she assumed the problem was something else, that she needed to try harder. Or that marriage was just naturally kind of difficult, or that being a little unhappy was normal. I nodded. And I really did love your dad, Mia, just not in the right way. I loved him like you love a good friend, someone you care about and respect and want good things for. But romantic love, the kind that makes you feel fully alive and seen and understood, that's different. I'd never felt that before, Elena. Mia absorbed this. Her fork paused halfway to her mouth. But didn't you think about girls when you were younger? Didn't you have crushes? I did, I admitted. But I told myself they were just strong friendships. Or that I was admiring them, or that everyone felt that way about their friends. I was really good at lying to myself. That sounds exhausting, Mia said. Elena laughed. It was, honey. Trust me. So when did you actually figure it out? Mia asked. Like, what was the exact moment? I glanced at Elena, and we shared a smile full of memory. There wasn't really one moment, I said. It was more like, Lena walked into our lives, and suddenly I couldn't keep lying to myself anymore. Everything I'd been ignoring or pushing down came rushing to the surface. And you weren't scared. I was terrified, I admitted. I was scared of what people would think, scared of how it would affect you, scared that maybe I was wrong about everything. But you know what scared me more? What? The idea of spending the rest of my life pretending, of never knowing what it felt like to be completely honest about who I was. Mia was quiet for a moment, processing. Then, I'm glad you figured it out, even if it took a long time, because if you hadn't, we wouldn't have Lena, and that would be really sad. Elena's eyes got shiny with tears. That's the sweetest thing you've ever said to me. Don't get used to it, Mia said, but she was smiling. I'm almost a teenager. I'm supposed to be mean to you guys soon. We all laughed, and the heavy moment passed, but I knew it was a conversation we'd return to many times over the years. Growing up with queer parents meant Mia would always be processing, always forming new questions as she understood more about the world and about identity. 2 years after that conversation, when Mia was 14 and firmly in the throes of teenagehood, Elena and I started talking seriously about expanding our family. I know we said one kid was enough, Elena said one night as we sat on the porch with wine hour ritual, after particularly long days, but I keep thinking about it, about what it would be like to raise a child together from the beginning. Not to take anything away from Mia, but I know, I said, because I'd been thinking about it too. You want to be a mom in that way? Not just a stepmom or bonus mom, but a mom from day one. Yes, she said softly. Is that selfish? No, it's human. I took her hand. I've been thinking about it too, about what it would be like to do it right this time. From the beginning, knowing who I am, being fully present in a way I couldn't be when I had MIA because I was so disconnected from myself. We decided to explore adoption. The process of becoming certified foster parents with the intention to adopt was lengthy, invasive, and sometimes frustrating. Home studies, background checks, interviews, classes on trauma-informed parenting, but we threw ourselves into it together. Mia was cautiously supportive. Does this mean I'll have to share my room? Was her first question. No, honey, we're going to convert the office. And I'm still going to college in 4 years, right? You're not going to make me stay home and babysit? You're definitely still going to college. Okay then. Cool, can I name the baby? We'll consider your input, Elena said diplomatically. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon, 18 months into the process. We have a situation, our caseworker, Patricia said. Siblings, a boy and a girl, ages 3 and 5. Their mother passed away unexpectedly. Father's not in the picture, no other family able to take them. They need an emergency placement, possibly long-term. I know you were hoping for an infant, but these kids need stability immediately. Are you interested? Elena and I looked at each other across the kitchen table, having a whole conversation in a glance. Yes, we said simultaneously. We're interested, I told Patricia. Tell us everything. Lucas and Sophia arrived at our house 3 days later with everything they owned in 2 trash bags. Lucas was 5, serious and watchful, holding his little sister's hand like he was responsible for keeping her safe. Sophia was 3, with huge dark eyes and tangled curls, clutching a stuffed rabbit with one ear missing. They stood in our entryway, small and scared and trying so hard to be brave. And I felt my heart crack open. Hi, Elena said, crouching down to their level. I'm Elena, and this is Sarah. You can call us whatever you're comfortable with. This is our daughter Mia. She's 14 and pretty excited to be a big sister. And that's Bear. She gestured to our dog, who was watching the new arrivals with interest. He's very gentle and loves kids. Sophia's grip on her brother tightened. Lucas stood perfectly still, assessing us with those old eyes that some foster children develop, eyes that have seen too much, too soon. Are you hungry? I asked. We have pizza. Lucas looked at Sophia, then back at us. Yes, please. Those were the first words he spoke to us, and they were heartbreakingly polite, like he was afraid that showing any need might get them sent away again. The first few months were brutal in ways I hadn't anticipated. Both kids had night terrors. Sophia screamed if anyone tried to give her a bath. Lucas hoarded food in his room, even though we explained over and over that there was always more. They flinched at sudden movements. They tested boundaries constantly, as if waiting for us to prove we'd give up on them. Mia, to her credit, stepped up in ways that amazed me. She sat with Sophia during nightmares, taught Lucas how to play video games, patiently explained house rules without getting frustrated. Watching my biological daughter help her new siblings learn how to be children again was both beautiful and heartbreaking. Elena and I took shifts, supported each other through the hard days, learned together how to parent traumatized children. We went to therapy, individual, couples, and family. We read books, we made mistakes and apologized for them. We celebrated tiny victories. Like the first time Lucas laughed at a joke or Sophia asked for a hug. It was nothing like the fantasy of adoption I'd had in my head. It was harder, messier, more complicated. It was also the most meaningful thing I'd ever done. 6 months in, Lucas started calling us Mom Sarah and Mom Elena. Sophia followed his lead, though sometimes she'd slip and call Elena Mama in Spanish, a remnant of her biological mother that we encouraged her to keep. A year in, the court finalized the adoption. We had a small ceremony at home, just us, Mia, my parents, Elena's family who'd flown up. Lucas and Sophia wore matching outfits they'd picked out themselves. The judge, a kind woman in her 60s, made it official with a smile. These children are legally and forever your children, she said. Congratulations. Lucas, who'd been sitting between Elena and me, suddenly threw his arms around my waist and started crying big, gasping sobs that shook his small body. Hey, what's wrong? I pulled him onto my lap. I thought you might still give us back, but you can't now, right? Because the judge said forever. My own eyes filled with tears. That's right, buddy, forever. You're stuck with us. Good, he said fiercely, because I don't want different moms. I want you. Sophia, not wanting to be left out, climbed onto Elena's lap. We're a family now. We've been a family since the day you got here, Elena told her. This just makes it official. My mother had been wonderful with Lucas and Sophia from the beginning. But about a year after the adoption, she asked to have coffee with me. Just the two of us. We met at our usual cafe, and after we got our drinks and settled into a corner table, she said, "There's something I need to tell you. Something I should have told you years ago." I felt a flutter of anxiety. Mom, what is it? She took a breath. When I was in college, I had a relationship with a woman. Her name was Diana. We were together for almost 2 years, and I loved her very much. I stared at my mother, feeling like the world had tilted slightly on its axis. What, Mom? You've never said anything. I know. She looked down at her coffee. It was the early 70s, and even though things were changing in some places, in my family, in my community, it wasn't acceptable. When Diana wanted us to move in together, to build a life, I panicked. I ended it. I started dating your father shortly after, and I convinced myself that what I felt for Diana wasn't real, that I'd been experimenting, confused, going through a phase. Oh, Mom. I married your father, had you and your brother, Built a whole life based on what I thought I was supposed to do? And your father is a good man, and I do love him, but…" She finally looked up at me, and her eyes were full of pain. "When you came out, when you told us about Elena, I saw myself in you. The fear, the confusion, the terror of choosing authenticity over what's expected. And I was so proud of you, Sarah. Proud and heartbroken and jealous, all at once." I reached across the table and took her hand. "Mom, you don't have to. I'm 68 years old," she said gently. "I've been married to your father for 43 years. My life is what it is, and I've made my peace with it. But I needed you to know. I needed you to understand why your coming out was so hard for me at first. It wasn't about you or Elena or disapproval. It was about my own regrets." "What happened to Diana?" I asked softly. A sad smile crossed my mother's face. "She married someone to a woman. They were together until Diana passed away 5 years ago. I saw her obituary online. She had a whole life, a real life, and she shook her head. "I'm telling you this because I want you to know how brave you are. How proud I am that you made a different choice than I did. That you chose truth over comfort." We both cried then, in that cafe, mourning the life my mother might have lived, and celebrating the one I was living. "Do you want to tell Dad?" I asked eventually. "Does he know?" "He knows I dated a woman in college. He doesn't know the depth of it, how serious it was." At this point, she shrugged. "I don't see the point in causing pain, but you should know. And your kids should know, all 3 of them, that sometimes people don't figure things out in time. And that's okay, but also heartbreaking. Tell them that the courage to be honest is the most important gift you can give yourself." Mia graduated high school in a class of students who'd never known a world without marriage equality, who used they/them pronouns for classmates without batting an eye, who treated her having 2 moms as unremarkable. She'd grown into an incredible young woman, sharp, compassionate, politically active. She'd started a LGBTQ+ alliance at her school and organized speakers and events. She'd written her college essay about growing up, watching her mom come out, and what it taught her about authenticity. She got into her first choice school, the University of Washington, with a scholarship to study social work. When she told us, she cried, and so did we. "I want to do what you do, Lena," she said, wiping her eyes. "Help kids who need it. Be the kind of person who makes space for people to be themselves." "You already are that person," Elena told her. The night before she left for college, Mia came and sat between Elena and me on the couch. Lucas and Sophia were already asleep. Lucas was 8 now, Sophia 6, both thriving in school and therapy in life. "I need to tell you guys something," Mia said. My heart jumped. "Okay, I'm bisexual," she said firmly. "I've known for a while, but I wanted to be sure before I said it out loud. And I'm telling you now because I'm going to college and I want to be completely honest about who I am from the beginning. No hiding, no pretending." I pulled her into a hug, my heart overflowing. "Thank you for telling us. We love you exactly as you are, always." "I know," she said, and there was such confidence in her voice. "That's why I could tell you. Because you showed me what it looks like to live honestly. Both of you." Elena hugged her from the other side. "You're going to be amazing, Mia. At college, in life, all of it. I learned from the best," she said. 2 moms and a dad who all figured out how to put me first even when it was complicated. I'm pretty lucky. It's been 10 years since Elena proposed on that mountain trail. 15 years since I hired her as Mia's nanny, and my world cracked open in the best possible way. I'm 48 now. Elena is 40. Mia is 22, graduated from college and working at a youth shelter. Dating a non-binary person named Alex, who we all adore. Lucas is 13 and obsessed with robotics, already talking about engineering schools. Sophia is 11 and takes after Elena, nurturing, creative, the designated peacemaker of our family. We live in the same house we bought 5 years ago, though it feels smaller now with 3 kids and a dog and the accumulation of family life. We're talking about renovating the basement to give everyone more space. Elena's tutoring center has expanded into a full learning academy with 6 employees. I'm still doing design work but mostly teaching now, mentoring young designers at the community college. We've built a life that feels sustainable and meaningful. My parents are in their 70s now. Still married, still together. My mother has started talking more about her past, about Diana, processing those old regrets out loud. My father listens with patience and love, and their relationship has somehow deepened through this honesty. Elena's father comes to visit regularly, has developed genuine affection for me, teaches Lucas Spanish and Sophia how to cook his mother's recipes. The journey to acceptance took years, but he got there. And now he's one of our biggest supporters. Last month, we were invited to speak at a local LGBTQ+ center about late in life. Coming out and building queer families. Standing in front of 40 people, mostly women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, all questioning, all searching. I felt the weight of representation, of visibility, of truth-telling. I spent 36 years not knowing I was gay. I began, or maybe more accurately, not letting myself know. And when I figured it out, I felt so much grief about the time I'd lost, the life I'd lived wrong. Elena took my hand on stage. But here's what we want you to understand. There's no wrong timeline. Sarah came out at 30. I came out at 19. We have a daughter who came out at 18. Everyone's journey is different, and they're all valid. The important thing, I continued, is that you start being honest. Start asking yourself the hard questions. Start imagining what your life could look like if you stopped pretending. A woman in the back raised her hand. But what about my kids? I have 3 children. How do I do this to them? You're not doing something to them, Elena said gently. You're modeling authenticity for them. And yes, it will be an adjustment. Yes, they'll have questions and feelings to process. But do you know what's harder for kids than having a parent come out? Having a parent who's miserable and hiding and modeling dishonesty. My oldest daughter put it best. I added, when I worried about how my coming out would affect her, she said, Mom, the best thing you can teach me is to be brave enough to be myself. Kids are resilient. Kids want happy parents more than they want normal parents. After the talk, people came up to us with their stories. Women in loveless marriages. Women who'd never dated anyone but felt a stirring of something different. Women who'd known for years but were paralyzed by fear. Women whose children were grown and who wondered if it was too late to start over. To each one, we said, it's not too late. It's never too late. Last week something extraordinary happened. Mia called us, her voice shaking with emotion. Moms, you need to sit down. Elena and I looked at each other with parental alarm and sat on the couch together. What is it, honey? I met someone at the shelter. An older woman, she's 42, who just left her husband and came out. She has a 7-year-old daughter and nowhere to go. The shelter helped her find temporary housing, but she's struggling. She's scared and lost and… Mia took a breath. She reminds me so much of you, Mom. Of your story. My throat got tight. Okay, what do you need from us? Can I give her your number? Can you talk to her? I think hearing your story, seeing that it's possible to build a life after coming out late, it would help her so much. Of course, I said immediately. Give her my number. I'd be happy to talk to her. Her name was Jennifer. She called 2 days later, her voice tentative. Hi, Sarah, this is Jennifer. Mia gave me your number. I hope that's okay. I don't know anyone who's been through this, and I feel so alone. You're not alone, I told her. You're really not. Can we meet for coffee? We met at a cafe downtown. Jennifer was beautiful in that exhausted, terrified way that people in crisis often are like. She was holding herself together through sheer will. She told me her story. 20 years in a marriage that felt wrong. A daughter she loved desperately. The moment 6 months ago when she'd met a woman at her book club and suddenly understood what she'd been missing her entire life. I haven't even acted on it, she said. I haven't kissed anyone or done anything, but I finally understood that I'm gay, and I couldn't keep pretending. So I told my husband, and he kicked me out. Said I was destroying our family. Said I'm a terrible mother. You're not, I said firmly. You're an incredibly brave mother. You're showing your daughter that it's never too late to choose yourself. But what if I'm ruining her life? What if she grows up hating me for this? I pulled out my phone and showed her pictures. Mia at her college graduation. Lucas at his robotics competition. Sophia at her dance recital. Elena and me at various family moments over the years. This is my family, I said. My daughter, whose nanny I fell in love with. My 2 adopted kids. My wife, who I've been with for 15 years. This is what's possible on the other side of that fear. Jennifer started crying. I want this. I want a life that feels real. Then you build it, I told her. One day at a time. It's hard, and it's scary, and some days you'll wonder if you made a mistake. But Jennifer, living authentically is worth it. I promise you, it's worth it. Jennifer is doing better now. She's been to several meetings of a late bloomer support group Elena and I help facilitate. She's in therapy. She's rebuilding her relationship with her daughter, who's adjusting better than anyone expected. She's started dating tentatively, carefully, but with hope. Watching her journey has reminded me of my own. How far I've come. How much life can change when you finally stop hiding. Tonight, I'm sitting on our porch, again the same porch where Elena and I had so many crucial conversations in those early days. She's beside me, her hand in mine, the way it's been for 15 years. Inside, Lucas is teaching Sophia how to code. We can hear them arguing good-naturedly through the open window. Mia is on her way over for Sunday dinner, bringing Alex. The dog is sprawled at our feet. What are you thinking about? Elena asks, the same question she's asked me hundreds of times. Everything, I say. How different my life is from what I imagined. How grateful I am for every step that led me here, even the hard ones. Any regrets? It's the same question we asked each other on our honeymoon, and my answer has evolved. I used to regret the time I lost, I say slowly, but now, I think I needed every one of those 36 years to become someone who was ready for this life. Ready for you. Ready to be the kind of mother my kids need. Even the hard parts. Especially the hard parts. The confusion taught me empathy. The pretending taught me the value of authenticity. The fear taught me courage. I wouldn't be who I am without all of it. Elena kisses my temple. I love who you are. I love who I am too, I say, and it's true in a way it never was before. Finally, if you're reading this and you're still searching, still questioning, still afraid, please know, it's never too late to live authentically. It's never too late to choose joy over comfort. It's never too late to build a life that actually fits. The world needs your truth. Your children need to see you happy. Your future self is waiting for you to be brave. Yes, coming out is hard. Yes, you'll lose some people. Yes, rebuilding your life is exhausting. But the alternative, spending your life pretending, hiding, living for everyone except yourself, that's so much harder. I fell in love with my daughter's nanny 15 years ago, and that love didn't just change my life. It saved it. It gave me permission to be fully, completely, unapologetically myself. And that permission, that's the greatest gift I've ever received. To everyone on their own journey of self-discovery, you are valid. Your timeline is valid. Your fear is valid. And so is your courage. To those who've supported us over the years, in the comments, with your messages, with your own stories. Thank you. We see you. We celebrate you. We're all in this together. And to Elena, if you're reading this, thank you for loving me exactly as I am. Thank you for building this beautiful, chaotic, perfect life with me. Thank you for being patient while I found myself. I love you, always have, always will. Sarah.